What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Locked in Sports. Bring you my 6 best bets for today, Sunday, March 31st in the NBA. Happy Easter. Let's make it a better Easter by cashing in some big bets. But before I hop into the picks, gotta hop into the recap. And before I do that, I just want to say that if you're watching these videos a lot, and if you're making good money off them, which, let's be fair, I know you are because we have a great record here on the channel, I don't know it off the top of my head, but it will be down in the description below. Then consider subscribing. It really helps me out here to help the channel grow. And the channel's been going kind of crazy recently. A lot of new subs, a lot of new views. It's really awesome to see. Thank you all for that. But it also helps you guys out because you get notified when videos drop. And the sooner you watch a video, the better the lines will be. The lines like to change after I drop videos, so I try to get them out early so you guys get the best lines possible. And as always, like, comment. This video is getting out a little later because I'm just scrambling, trying to pack to go home from vacation. Also trying to get this video out, so a like would mean a lot to me personally. But with that out of the way, let's hop into the recap of yesterday. Not a great day. Really just not a good day. 1-4. Not what we want to see here on the channel. I'll admit, one of our worst days. Luckily, we still have a good winning record, but let's go over what hit, what didn't. What hit? Well, Derrick White. That was the one that hit for us. We took him for over 13.5 points. He had 15, cleared that in the fourth quarter. Yeah, good bet there. He hit. He'd been hitting really consistently, so like that one. What didn't hit? Well, Clint Capella for over 11.5. He had 10, a bucket below the line. He'd been so consistently going right above this line. He just didn't get that last bucket for us today. Malik Beasley just didn't really show up as much as I thought he would, with Dame Lillard being out, and DeJounte Murray had been going crazy recently. Had, I think, 11 points in the first quarter, I believe, and only ended with 20. Yeah, just weird end game for DeJounte Murray, not hitting. And Jason Tatum, we took him for over 26.5. He had 23, just under this line. Again, he'd been so consistent recently and just didn't show up today. Unfortunate day in the NBA. Just really unfortunate for us. But we have bad days sometimes. They're going to happen. I like to trust in the statistics. I like to know that in the long run, we're always going to be making positive money. And that's why I'm really confident that today we bounce back. I got some great bets for you guys. We're going to have a 6-0 sweep. So let's hop into it. For my first bet of the day, I'm going to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I'm taking Evan Mobley for over 13.5 points. Why? Well, he's been averaging 15.5 over his last 10, and he dropped 16 on Denver previously, showing that he can match up against Jokic, and he's over in 3 of his last 5, including a game against the Miami Heat. We went over this line against Bam Adebayo, a great defensive center. You can tell my main worry about this pick was how Mobley would match up against Jokic. Jokic is big. He's dominant. I'm thinking he might, box Mobley out. But Mobley showed that he can show up against Bam. He showed that he can show up against Jokic previously. And I don't think he's going to have a problem getting around Jokic and just performing at the level he's been performing at recently. So yeah, I'm locking in Evan Mobley for over 13.5 points. Next up, I'm taking a player from the New York Knicks. I'm taking their MVP, Jaylen Brunson, for over 6.5 assists. Why am I backing his assists? Well, he's averaging 6.6 over his last 10 games, and he had 7 against OKC previously, going above this line, and he's over in 3 of his last 5. One of the games we didn't go over this line was the game where he had 61 points. Obviously, not a lot of passing from him in that game. Still had 6, though. So still good assist numbers, even in a game where he was shooting lights out the entire match. So, yeah, I think Jaylen Brunson is really finding his footing, assisting and being a playmaker. And I think against OKC, he's going to see a lot more pressure from Chet Holmgren and other defensive players on the Thunder. And he's going to be in a position where he has to pass more. Coming off of a 61-point game, I think OKC's game plan is to lock down Jaylen Brunson. I think he's going to be able to spread the defense using that, get some good passes, get some easy assists. Yeah, I think it's a really prime spot to back Jaylen Brunson for over 6.5 assists. Next up, I'm taking another player from the New York Knicks. I'm taking Josh Hart for under 11.5 points. I know unders aren't fun to take. I say this every time. But when they're really locked in picks, I like to back them because it's free money. Never going to say no to a locked in pick, even if it's an under. So why am I taking Josh Hart's under? Well, it really just comes down to the stats. He's averaging 9.3 over his last 10, a full bucket under this line. He dropped 4 on OKC previously, so not a good matchup for Hart at all. And he's under this in 4 of his last 5. The only game he went over this line was the most recent game that went to overtime. Yeah, he can't hit this line. He hasn't been doing it recently, and the only time he's been able to is in an overtime game where he's playing extra minutes. Come on. I don't think Josh Hart's a bad player. I think he's a great player, but he just hasn't been scoring as well recently, so I'm easily locking in Josh Hart for under 11.5 points. Sticking with the same game, but hopping over to the other team, I'm backing an OKC player, and I'm taking Josh Giddy for over 13.5 points. Giddy's been going crazy recently. He averaged 17.5 over his last 10, and he only had 7 against the Knicks previously, I'll admit. But he's over this line in 4 of his last 5 games, and SGA is doubtful to play. If SGA doesn't play, Josh Giddy hits this line easily, and I don't know if I've ever seen a player who was listed as doubtful actually end up playing. I'm sure it's happened. You can correct me in the comments below. I know it'll happen. But, come on. SGA most likely is not playing. When SGA's been out, Josh Giddy has been seeing so much increased usage. He's been going over 20 points in a couple games recently, and just, like I said, he's over in 4 of his last 5. Even if he didn't do well against the Knicks previously, he's going to see so much extra usage and volume in this game that I think he could clear this line in the first half without a sweat. So yeah, I'm easily locking in Josh Giddy for over 13.5 points. This next pick, I'm hopping over to the Dallas Mavericks to take Derrick Jones Jr. for over 6.5 points. Why? Well, he's been averaging 8.3 over his last 10 above this line, and he averages 9 against Houston this season. He's played both games against them, and he's averaging well above this line based off those 2 games. He's over in 3 of his last 5. Yeah. It's just a good spot to back him. He's been playing well recently. Luka is questionable. If Luka does play, I don't think it's hard for Derrick Jones to beat this line at all. If Luka doesn't, I think this is free money. But whatever happens with Luka, I like Derrick Jones to go over this line. He's just been averaging above it, and he has a good matchup against Houston. He's proven that he can beat this line consistently, so I'm locking in Derrick Jones Jr. for over 6.5 points. Now, for my 6th and final pick of the day, I'm backing Dillon Brooks for over 10.5 points. He's been averaging 12.12 over his last 10, and he averages 13 against Dallas. So he's proven that he can beat this line against Dallas pretty consistently, and he's over in 4 of his last 5. I say this every time we see over in 4 of last 5, but I love that. When I can look at a player and with 80% confidence say they're going over this line, and then look at their matchup and see that it's a good matchup, come on. It's too good of a pick not to back. I don't see any reason to not take Dillon Brooks for over 10.5 points. All right, those were my 6 best bets for today, Sunday, March 31st in the NBA. Now, normally, this is the part of the video where I hand out my cutting room floor picks, all the extra picks I dig up in my research and like to hand out at the end, but I don't have any today. It is very late, about 2 a.m. for me as I'm recording this, and I just had a really busy schedule, and I didn't have time to really jot down every single pick I saw. So I looked at the most competitive games, found the best picks, found locked in picks. Obviously, I'm not going to start handing out picks that I'm not fully confident in. It wouldn't take myself. But I did find 6 that I considered locked in picks. So I'm handing them out to you all. I'm confident in them. But yeah, feels weird to not end with a ton of cutting room floor picks, but we don't have them today. So as always, if you like the video, leave a like, comment your own picks and parlays down in the description below. I love seeing them. I love sweating them out with you guys. I also love when you guys correct me on my picks or point out things in the stats that I'm not seeing, because it does help me make better and more researched and more insightful picks in the future. So I appreciate that. And as always, subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. We've been seeing a really big uptick in growth and subscribers and just how much these videos are being promoted by YouTube. And it's really awesome and really fulfilling to see over here at the channel. Really encouraging. And thank you all so much for being a part of that and joining me on this journey and in making a lot of money. So, yeah, let's have a good one. And as always, let's make some money. Yeah.